Hey, welcome back. So, the title of this mini lecture is England prior to 1607. Now, we're going to talk about 5 terms that you need to know in order to kind of understand your reading about this topic a little bit more. Let's get into it. When I think about England in the 16th century, there's a number of factors, a number of things that I would consider. So, first off, religion is obviously a really important part of one's identity, really in the first half and of the century, especially the whole century. So the first thing that we need to focus on is 1517. All right, so there had been religious unrest and debate prior to 1517, but it's after 1517 and Martin Luther nailing his 95 Theses to the door of the church in Germany, the Wittenberg Church in Germany, and the Protestant Reformation beginning, that you're going to really see this kind of transformation of this discussion of religious identity far more into an arena where many more individuals are understanding this and debating this, and it matters more to your daily life because religion is connected to the state and questions of can you be prosecuted and put to death and all of that, right? So there's a lot of factors to this. Secondly, for us is going to be the Act of Supremacy. So this is signed by Parliament and supported by the King in 1534 and would really place England firmly within the Protestant camp in the middle part of the era of the Reformation. Now, Protestant Reformation leads to a Catholic Reformation and to continual religious war really through about 1648. And the Act of Supremacy is partly the response on the part of Henry, King Henry VIII, since he can't get a divorce from his wife because he wants to marry Anne Boleyn. Well, I'll create a new church, right? So he does. He creates the Church of England, or the modern Anglican Church. Now, there were, of course, Catholic priests who essentially went underground, continued their faith as they saw it, for a next generation or so. There were also those who argued that Church of England didn't go far enough in distancing itself from the theological tenets and tone and religious practices of the Catholic Church as well. And given its connections to the royal authority within England in the 16th century, you had a number of individuals who opposed it. And that opposition was given a name and a voice, and that leads us to our third term, Puritanism. Puritanism. Now, we in the U.S., if you went to K through 12 school in the U.S., you tend to think of Puritans as singularly those folks who maybe helped to found Massachusetts, or you think of it as a term when someone's kind of loosely referring to purism, or being pure, or being, oh, that's rather Puritan of you, right? That kind of thing. But Puritanism as a religious focus develops in the 16th century, develops in the 1500s. It develops out of a view that perhaps the Church of England is too closely connected to royal authority, that it's perhaps not as grounded enough in faith and elements of predestination and other aspects of theology. And there ended up being a number of different camps when it came to Puritanism. The Puritans that certainly arrive in Boston, are one part of this. The Pilgrim Separatists, would certainly be another. And Puritanism is also strongly connected to questions of political authority in England by the end of the 16th century, and questions of overthrow of Queen Elizabeth and stuff like that. All right, number 4. Population growth. So England's 16th century in particular, you're going to have a very high level of population growth where the population nearly doubles. And this will have a real big effect, of course, on rural communities across England, right? So most of England is rural at this point. And so when you have more individuals within families and villages and communities, right, you have less opportunities for those individuals. You have amongst elites, right, primogeniture or primogeniture inheritance. So everything went to one kid, the firstborn male son. So you don't have a lot of opportunities for labor and economy at the beginning of the 17th century, which meant that if you had an outlet for folks, they might try to take advantage of it, and they do. Hence, why you get a lot of folks going to colonies in the 17th century, not just, of course, in the Americas. Ireland is going to be a big part of this. And that brings us to our last point. So Roanoke, right? So Roanoke was a failed colonial attempt at the end of the 16th century in the 1580s, partly led by Sir Walter Raleigh. And when he returns, having helped to defeat the Armada, right, he finds that the colony is abandoned, it's gone. And it really demonstrated a couple of things for the English when it came to colonies in the Americas. One, they would need greater connection back with England. And with that connection, secondly, they would need strong supply. And so this is what's going to lead us to something called joint stock companies in the years to come. All right. Thank you.